Sign your girl up, please. I need more like this, please. Everyone deserves an errand. I have a couple of contemporary romance favorites. Or two, maybe three. Hello lovely bookworms, I'm Esmay from Paradise of Pages on Instagram and also on Twitter, and welcome to a new Christmas countdown video. Today I am talking about the best books of 2021, my favorites, the top of the top, my 5-star reads, and I have quite a few this year. I actually have 8 books to talk about. I had to quickly check. I have 8 books to talk about and some very surprising ones. And yeah, let's just get into it. These are in no particular order, though I have one. I will save that for the last. Or two, maybe 3. No, I loved all of these, but they are in no particular order. Some of them I love for different reasons. Some of them are just absolutely brilliant. So let's just start with book number 1. So the first book I want to talk about is also the first 5-star read of the year, and that is Force of Souls by Laurie M. Lee. I personally had expected to enjoy this one. I am one of those types of people who loves these kinds of magic, shaman kind of reads. This book, however, took my heart by storm. Something I really enjoyed about this is that the focus is definitely on our main protagonist's journey and the things that she experiences over the romance, because there's hints of romance in here, and I have yet to read the second book, though I own it and I definitely need to read it. But the focus is definitely on her experiences, and though there are hints that there might be some kind of love connection in this book, you don't even know who it is, because there's, from what I remember, 3 options. And that's something that I really, really enjoyed. Our main protagonist's powers have been at one point subdued, and then something happens to her where she realizes, wait a minute, I have powers. And it's such an interesting concept, and the idea of these forests of souls and the places that she visits is also vividly explained and so vividly written down that you really feel as if you're there. If it didn't feel like I was reading, it actually felt like I was part of this world, and that is something that I personally really, really, really enjoy when I read books. This was just the top of the top, and I was very, very happy to start off my year with this. I think I read this, did I read it as a buddy read, or I don't remember. I actually feel like I read this with someone or because of someone, but it was absolutely brilliant. I loved every minute of this book, and I should really read the sequel. I should just really read the sequel, but this one definitely delivered. I feel like a lot of people were talking about this, but not a lot of people are talking about the sequel, because I feel like me, a lot of people probably haven't read it yet. But in any case, definitely a huge recommendation for sure. Alright, book number 2 is a 2-parter, but I will focus on the first one because it's my favorite in the duology. This is a duology that I absolutely love, but this first book definitely takes the cake, and that is Fable by Adrienne Young. This is a pirate story. So our main protagonist was dumped on an island by her father. I think it's her her real father. Yeah, she is a daughter of a very important pirate in the Narrows, which is this land where we are in, and her father actually dumps her on this island and tells her, if you can get off it yourself, I will take care of you. Just come to me. And so for a lot of years, she tries to save up money by digging up gems. It's what she does best. She can sense gems, and then she digs them up from the ocean floor. One way or another, she finds herself in a situation where she, I would say she struggles with someone, and then she ends up on a ship to the place that she wants to go to see her father, and that's where her story starts. I don't want to say too much about this because I feel like you should just enjoy it in its entirety, and this was definitely one of those stories that I don't know, took my heart by storm. I really loved the main protagonist. She really reminded me of Alosa from Daughter of the Pirate King, which is definitely one of my favorite duologies of all time. This one, however, did definitely deliver in the sense of sassy characters, fun banter, sort of found family as well. There's a huge found family in here that I love. I love every single one of these characters. And also the way in which the relationships are built, because in the beginning a lot of people are wary and the relationships grow very, how do you say it, very naturally, and that's something that I do really enjoy in books. Like in certain books it almost feels like, oh, we meet this person, she's already part of our family, and with this one it really feels as if that sort of family dynamic grows. In general, I feel like a lot of people will enjoy this. It's also quite thin, which is fun, which is something that you need in between the very heavy books, and I cannot recommend this enough. These are just the type of stories that I really, really enjoy. So I cannot wait, honestly, what Adrienne Young does next, because I've loved all of her books. Speaking of an author whose books I love and all of her books I've loved, Tressia Levenseller. A Blade of Secrets has made it onto my favorites list. Another one of her books has made it onto my favorites list, and it's no surprise. Tressia Levenseller has also written The Shadows Between Us, which is also one of my absolute favorites. Blade of Secrets is the first in a duology, and it follows a main protagonist who has social anxiety. And not just any type of social anxiety, but severe, severe social anxiety. She is scared of everyone apart from her sister, and she would rather spend her remainder of her days, even though she's fairly young, in her forge. She is someone who can create magical weapons, and basically what she does is she's really, really good at the art of creating weapons. Then once the weapon is actually physically forged, she will apply some type of magic to it, and no one of her weapons is the same. Every single one has a different type of magic. Until one day she creates a blade for, I think she creates an axe that she gives to someone who's buying her weapons, who literally hangs it on the walls, and she's very angry about this. Then she gets another, because of this opportunity, she meets someone who really wants a weapon from her, and so she creates literally the weapon of destruction, because it can cut people down from quite a while away. And then she figures out, wait a minute, it also is able to get secrets from others. So if you're cut by this blade, the wielder of this blade can hear your feelings and your secrets. And so she then figures out that the one who wants this blade wants to terrorize the world, and so she runs. In the meantime, she has also met what she thinks to be the most beautiful man in existence, but she's too socially awkward and scared and anxious to actually do something about it. And in general, I just feel like this was such an interesting and renewing story to have a character who's not severely outspoken, who is not someone who would stand in the front lines and be a complete badass, though she is in her own right absolutely a badass. I loved seeing her struggle with social interactions, and I loved seeing a character that is a lot more like a lot of us. Like, I feel like a lot of us would struggle with social anxiety, and I feel a lot of us readers will feel a connection to her, because I sure did. I am an outspoken person, but I can get very anxious at times in larger groups, and so it was really enlightening to read from a perspective of a character that is the same. And I cannot wait for the sequel to this. I have already pre-ordered book 2, and that is the final one, I think. I think this is a duology. In general, such an amazing story, and I cannot tell you how much I love this one. Alright, let's take a little bit of an intermission from fantasy, because I have a couple of contemporary romance favorites. It is so strange to say. I feel like I think I mentioned this in a video earlier this week as well. I am that person that did not read contemporary romance. It wasn't for me. I hated contemporary, never read it, never gave it a shot. If I gave it a shot, 1 star, not for me. Until I, in a very, very compulsive moment, read The Unhoneymooners, and I was hooked. And so after that, I have read 2 absolute new favorites, and let me just quickly talk about them. So the first one that I read after The Unhoneymooners was The Spanish Love Deception, and this follows a girl who needs a date to her sister's wedding, and is it even her? Yeah, it's her sister's wedding, and she actually used to date the brother of her fiance, and so Aaron, lovely Aaron, he actually signs up for the job and he goes with her, and there's fake dating, one bedroom, one bed trope, there's all types of mischief, and I just loved it, every single minute of it. I actually spent my entire night reading this. I read it in one sitting, and I think it was done around like 2 a.m, but I could not put this down. It delivered in every way, shape, form. I know that it's a very hyped book, and it deserves all the praise it gets. This is one of those books that will sit with you for the rest of your life, and I already want to reread it. That's how much I loved it. Absolutely, absolutely brilliant book, and I want an Aaron. I just want an Aaron. Everyone deserves an Aaron. So yeah, this is absolutely 5 stars, cake of the cake, best of the best. At least up until now, I haven't read that many, but absolutely loved it. Then the other contemporary romance favorite that is on here is also probably not surprising, and that is The Love Hypothesis. This is about a girl who is currently working on her PhD in, I think it is biology, and in an unfortunate or fortunate series of events, she kisses her professor. I don't think it's her direct professor. I don't think he's like a true professor. He's a doctor, Dr. Carlson, Adam Carlson. And the reason why she does this is that her best friend has a crush on a guy that our main protagonist, Olive, used to date. And because of the fact that she just wants them to date, she thought, you know what, let me get myself a boyfriend so she feels like I don't love him, I've moved on, so she can date him. And so she actually told her best friend On that she would be on a date, and then she saw her in the med lab, like the lab that she was doing her experiments at, and the only other person there was Adam Carlson. So she kisses him, and then this book is basically, that's the start of the book, but then basically like fake dating and I just love them so much. Adam, it's really the sunshine grumpy kind of book, and I love it. I absolutely loved every minute of it. And I actually was buddy reading this with Kelly from Velvet Library, and she also read it in one sitting, and we were actually supposed to read 4 chapters a day, and it turned out, I think I finished the book in 2 days, and that was only because I was working. Absolutely enjoyed it, absolutely loved it, just want to reread it already, and definitely a book that I would recommend all of you to read if you want to try out contemporary romance. This is very new to me. If you have books that feel similar to this one, sign your girl up, please. I need more like this, please. So, those are my favorites in the contemporary romance section. Alright, so that was my trip away from fantasy, and I have 3 more books to talk about. 2 of them are part of a series, and I do have to say that I have definitely saved the best for last. These are books that have also made it on my all-time favorites list. And yeah, I can't pick between those, but let's just start with the one that I only have 1 from, or at least only read 1 from, because the first book in this duology is also 5 stars and made it onto my favorites list last year, and that is We Free the Stars by Hafsa Faizal. This is the continuation of We Hunt the Flame, and it immediately continues after We Hunt the Flame. So what We Hunt the Flame is about, it is about basically 2 characters. It's about Severa, who is a hunter and is tasked with saving the world, and then Nazir, who is the Prince of Death, who is sent after her to kill her because the king thinks that she will defeat him. That's the first book. Other than that, I'm not going to say too much about the plot because of the fact that it will be a spoiler, and then this book follows immediately after that. This is the second and the final book in this duology, and my heart. I love every single character in this book. I really want to reread this at some point, and the way in which that Hafsa creates relationships, characters, a very, very interesting world, just everything about this screams perfection to me, and I have enjoyed every single word, sentence, page, paragraph, chapter. I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I've listened to quite a bit of the audiobook, which is absolutely brilliant. One of my most favorite audiobooks of 2021 as well. And oh, why is there there's a bookmark in here. But this book really, like, it is big, but it is everything you would want. It's fast-paced, but also slow where it should be slow. It has interesting characters. The way in which that this just plays out, it's just great, and I cannot recommend this enough. I don't want to say too much about this because of the fact that I don't want to spoil you on anything. But please, if I can give you one recommendation, well, two, because the one after this is also great, but definitely different from this. If I can give you one desert vibe recommendation this year, I can give you more, but if I can only give you one, it will be this duology, because I feel like it is also very underrated, and I haven't heard anyone say that they didn't enjoy this, so that is saying something. So yeah, that is definitely 5-star, one of my absolute favorites. So the final two are part of the same series, and the third one is coming next year, which is taking too long. And that is a book that I've put up reading because I wanted to own a copy of it first. Once I did own a copy of this, I read it, and then not long after that, the sequel was released, which I have pre-ordered, but it was a Fairy Loot exclusive, so it's going to be here anytime soon. Like, right now, but I've already read the sequel because I couldn't wait. And those are Kingdom of the Wicked and Kingdom of the Cursed by Kerri Maniscalco. This follows a girl who is part of a twin. And when her twin is brutally murdered, she wants to figure out who did it, why, all of those things. Because she comes from a very long line of witches. Once she does, she, by accident, summons one of the wicked, one of the 7 wicked. And they are all after the, sort of, the 7 sins. And she summons Wrath, or Wrath, whatever way you want to call it. And he is bound to her in some type of weird way. And they form this alliance to sort of figure out what has happened. Because Wrath has his own ulterior motives. And I think our main protagonist is called Amelia. Yes, and her sister was called Victoria. Amelia wants to figure out what has happened to her sister. And in the story, she then also encounters multiple other of these wicked, and the way in which this story is written, it's definitely an enemies to romance kind of thing, but not, but kinda. It's just so captivating, and the way that both this one and also the second one are written, they're so vastly different from everything I have ever read. And this one definitely made it onto my all-time favorites list. I love this one more than life itself, especially the second one, which is Kingdom of the Cursed. Kingdom of the Cursed follows immediately after Kingdom of the Wicked, and I cannot say too much about this apart from the fact that I really want to reread it right now. It's just so good. The characters are well done, the way in which the world is built, the way in which it also shifts Amelia's way of the world, and the way that her grief comes through with everything as well. It's just so well done, and I cannot tell you how much I love this. So I'm gonna stop talking about that, and if you want a non-desert vibe recommendation from me, this one, and Kingdom of the Cursed. Definitely, definitely, definitely. So those were all of my all-time favorite books of 2021. Quite a few, if I might add. I had quite an amazing reading year. At the point we are right now, when I'm filming this video, I read 102 books, I think, which is quite impressive, I have to say, because I had issues coming to 80 at one point, and now we're here. So I'm really happy with my reading this year. We'll see what next year brings. I do have a couple of anticipated releases, so very happy about those. But yeah, these are all of my favorites for 2021. I want to thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel and press that little bell icon so you get post notifications every single time that we post a video. And I hope to see you all the next time. Bye!